Today's story is about what we forget on purpose and what happens when it comes back. It's a Reddit story that plays with two ideas: the neighbor who isn't quite human and the parent who is. We'll look at why we're scared of the wrong thing sometimes and what protection can cost. I didn't realize my new customer used to be my neighbor until I pulled into her driveway. The street name had sounded familiar. When I saw my old childhood home beside her property, it clicked. My uncle moved me out when I was 6. I barely remembered anything. My girlfriend Ellie said that was probably my brain blocking things out on purpose. I sat in the van staring at the house. The bungalow looked abandoned. Shattered windows, dead grass. For a moment, I considered leaving. But I'd only started my lawn mowing business a few months ago. I needed the money. She hadn't called, she'd emailed. "Am interested in your service. Every week, Sunday. Door left open. Money on table. Help self to drink and meal." I replied, got the address. It struck me as odd she'd contact someone an hour away, but she'd promised a generous tip. Her lawn was wildly overgrown. The house was neat, 2 stories, front porch. As I mowed, my gaze kept drifting to the fence between her property and my old home. It was enormous, 10 feet tall. Every time I looked at it, pressure built behind my eyes. Something trying to remember. Something trying to forget. Then, for a split second, I remembered. Long black hair spilling down the fence from the other side, draped over the timber like a ragged curtain. The hair shifted. Above the lip of the fence, a pale forehead rose. Eyes, white and cloudy, peeking down at me. Only me. Then a sound behind me. Maybe someone calling my name. The eyes vanished. The hair slid back over the fence until there was nothing. Cold washed through me. I didn't look at the fence again. No one could peer over a 10-foot fence. It had to be my imagination. And yet that image was suddenly one of the clearest memories I had from that house. An hour later, I knocked and went in. "Ms. Ramona?" The ceiling was unusually high, cold. Money on the kitchen table, a jug of lemonade, a sandwich. She'd said, "Help yourself." I counted the money. 4 $50 notes. I only charged 60. I took 100 and left the rest. Then I heard something upstairs. A wheeze, wet, uneven. 2 sharp creaks, floorboards. Someone was home. I edged toward the stairs. "Hello? Ms. Ramona?" No answer. Part of me wanted to check if she was hurt. Another part screamed to leave. I picked up the sandwich so I wouldn't seem rude, and I got out. In the van at home, I opened the bread. Inside was butter and raw red meat. I pinched something threaded through it and pulled. A single hair. Dark, absurdly long. I told Ellie, but left out the memory. She laughed. "You're scared of a little old granny?" At that moment, I remembered something else. A strand of that hair catching in the fence, floating down. I'd wrapped it around my little arm like linen around a mummy. I shook my head and told her about the sandwich. Ellie said the poor woman probably has dementia. I went back the next week. Before I started the mower, I looked at the fence again. I remembered long fingers reaching over, half a face peering down, eyes and forehead, watching. Inside, she'd left 300 and a note. "Take all money. Why no drink? I took a small sip of the lemonade. Cold, sweet, good. After that, the memories returned, stronger than ever. I dreamed about food being thrown over the fence. Roast chicken, raw meat, fruit, rotting apples. I remembered the hunger, a blanket in the bushes beside the fence, eating like an animal. I remembered my scalp itching, lice. Then I remembered a hand. It slipped through the gap, brushed the hair out of my face. The itching faded. I saw a thin grey arm disappearing over the fence. I remembered wrapping my hands around one enormous finger and crying into it. Then an angry voice. The finger wriggled free. The hand vanished. A wisp of dark hair above the fence. Someone tore the blanket away. They yelled. I was sitting on rotting food. Flies, maggots. Hands dragged me out so hard I thought my arm would snap. The third time I went back, I didn't hesitate. Something had begun to clarify. I needed to speak with Ramona. I remembered the humming when I hid by the fence. The yelling in the house always softened when I listened to her. I remembered being lifted so high I could see over the roof. I remembered running to my hiding place, shaking, starving.
"Henry, you get back here!"
She caught my arm.
"Mummy, stop! Don't hurt me again!"
I remembered my mother freezing, something brushing the back of my neck, long strands of hair. My mother stared up, terror on her face. The fingers came. They wrapped around her and lifted her up, up, up. She was screaming. I called out,
"It's okay, Mummy. She's just taking you to see the stars."
A deafening crunch. Her screaming stopped. Something flew across the sky into the forest. Hands closed around me. Warm, gentle. I rose high enough to see over the roof. I finally saw her face. Pale, gaunt, lips stretched too wide. But her eyes were dark and warm.
"Did Mummy like seeing the stars?"
I asked. She hummed. I walked toward the house on numb legs. The door was open. I climbed the stairs. A low groan from above. The upper floor was open plan, wide like an attic. A very tall woman lay on a mat that covered the floor. Grey skin, long, spindly limbs. She had made herself smaller for me. Her eyes found mine. I dropped to my knees and sobbed. Fingers wrapped around me and drew me in. Warmth.
"You killed her, didn't you?"
She hummed.
"Why?
She brushed my hair back.
Why didn't she care about me? Why did she let me starve?"
Her warmth held. I fell asleep. When I woke, I was in a bed. A little old lady sat in an armchair. Distant eyes. On the mattress beside me, a note. "I cursed with sighs and hunger, but I protect sweet little boy, cold and hungry. I carry you to the stars where she not reach. I lost myself when I took her, but she not hurt you anymore. Forgive me, please." I asked my uncle for the truth. He showed me pictures. Me as a boy, long scraggly hair, bruises, cuts, burns. My mother was a monster. When she was found in the woods, half eaten, they called it an animal attack. Then they learned what she did to me. They called it karma. I kept visiting Ramona. I brushed her hair when she was the little granny. I lay and listened to her hum when she was something else. When she was dying, I fell asleep holding her hand. When I woke, she was gone. I still go back to mow her lawn. Sometimes I stay until night. When I look at the stars, it almost feels like I'm rising, slowly, above the roof of the house. So, what are we actually looking at here? This is the monster who isn't trope. The thing that looks wrong and dangerous turns out to be the one that cared. And the real monster is human. We've seen it in Pan's Labyrinth, in some Gaiman, in a lot of No Sleep. What this story does is tie it to repressed memory. The narrator doesn't know he was abused. He doesn't know his neighbor was his protector. The fence is literally the barrier. 10 feet. You can't see over it unless something chooses to show itself. The horror is in the slow return of what his brain hid. Not the creature, but the mother. Commenters often say the real monster was the mum and Ramona was justified. Others argue she still killed a person. The moral I take is that human and monster aren't the same as safe and dangerous. My version of the ending? He keeps mowing the lawn because it's the only place that still holds both versions. The little old lady and the thing that carried him to the stars. Thanks for watching. If you have a Reddit story you'd like adapted, drop it below.